And back to the phones we go. Ellen in Roanoke, Virginia. Thank you for waiting, and welcome to the program. Hi.
Hi, Rush. Thank you for taking my call.
You bet. Anytime.
Thank you. I wanted to start out by saying I so appreciate your voice that you speak up for this nation. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
My point that I was calling about today is back in March, I believe on March 16th is when I read this, it was announced that a pilot program was happening in 6 U.S. cities to put the police departments under federal control. And the cities are all liberal cities. I mean, totally liberal. You've got Fort Worth, Texas, Gary, Indiana, Stockton, California, Birmingham, Alabama, Minneapolis, and Pittsburgh. And you couple that with the takeover of the cities after these riots, and I really do believe that federalization of our police department is happening.
You do?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Obama basically,
yes.
he calls for it.
Yes, and he's implementing it right now.
Well, look, there's no question about it. If you look at the, I don't have this in front of me. I hate to say things without the backup here, even though you can totally trust me. I don't make things up out of whole cloth here. But my buddy Andy McCarthy has written extensively. He's a member of the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Manhattan. He knows what's going on in these places, and he knows how the Department of Justice interacts with localities. But it's not all personal experience. There are literal things happening. Federal guidelines from the Holder Justice Department say to the Ferguson Police Department. In fact, remember, Holder himself said it. After the grand jury in Ferguson, the findings are made public, and everything everybody thought that was wrong about that case was blown to smithereens. There was no hands up, don't shoot. There was no surrender. There was no nothing. Everything that the news media and the left had said about this thing was not true. And the DOJ report, I remember reading with you portions of the DOJ report, which were just decimating to the gentle giant. I mean, the gentle giant and all the witnesses were just destroyed in the DOJ report. And I remember when it was one passage, way down in the summary report toward the end of it, despite all of this, we have found intense, latent racism throughout the Ferguson Police Department. Now, after releasing an analysis, this was the DOJ. Remember, they went in there and they were going to make sure we got the truth. They were going to rely on the locals, couldn't trust them. We're going to rely on the local DOJ or the prosecutors and the grand jury, because Holder had gone in there early on and promised the people of Ferguson, no matter what, they were going to get to the bottom of it. Well, when they got to the bottom of it, they found out there was nothing to get to. There was no innocence on the part of the gentle giant. So they had to release the details, and they were devastating, as I say. And despite that, they had to come away with something. So they concluded their investigation found, while no civil rights of any kind of the gentle giants were violated, nevertheless, Eric Holder's DOJ report said that the Ferguson Police Department was just ravaged with racism. It was the most incongruous thing, folks. We had this long report exonerating everybody, exonerating the cop, exonerating the police department, not exonerating the gentle giant. I mean, it was a slam dunk, total defeat for everybody on the gentle giant side. And despite that, the DOJ found rampant, toxic racism all throughout the Ferguson Police Department, which, the report said, meant that the Department of Justice was immediately going to issue new guidelines and procedures for the Ferguson Police Department to follow, even though we just had a report that said they didn't do anything wrong. Separate investigation found all this racism. That has happened in 10 or 15 other cities where there have been, not riots, but there have been crimes where people in the African American community thought that racism was behind them. So this is how it's happening. The DOJ is going in, conducting these investigations. They're finding racism here and racism there and demanding changes. And the changes that are being demanded are basically handcuffing local police departments with new federal guidelines if they want the money. So it's already underway. Quick time out, my friends. We'll be right back. Don't go away. There are 20 cities now affected by these consent decrees from the Department of Justice. 20 cities have been forced to accept federal control via these DOJ consent decrees. Oakland, Las Vegas, Newark, now Ferguson. In fact, Newark has begged for more cops recently because the DOJ's guidelines took too many away. They got a rampant crime. They want more cops put back.